And let's go ahead and jump into the next question. And the next question comes from a Michael Kent. And Michael writes, hey guys, it's being reported that Charlie Cox has completed shooting his scenes for the Spider Man 3 movie. Is this true? And how will this character affect the movie? Well, thank you for your question, Michael. So what Michael's referring to, and honestly, I didn't know anything about this until Michael sent it to me. So when he sent it, I researched it, and the only places that are reporting this are Screen Rant and I believe Fandom Wire. Now, let me just say this. Screen Rant has gotten a lot of things right, so I won't say that they're not we got this covered, but they have gotten a lot of things wrong as well. The original owner of Screen Rant, who's not the owner of it anymore, basically sold it to a marketing company that's basically, I think they're trashing the site, in my opinion. And that's just my opinion.
Mm.
Same thing with Fandom Wire. Fandom Wire has made a lot of outlandish claims that tend to not like. I think it was Fandom Wire that said Miles Morales was going to be in Homecoming, and we didn't see. We got a reference, but we didn't see that in the movie. We didn't see a Miles Morales in Homecoming. So, um, I will say that again, Fandom Wire and Screen Rant, they're definitely not we got this covered. But here's my issue with what they're saying. None of what they're saying has been confirmed. And honestly, I tend to not try to talk about those things if they have not been confirmed by like a deadline, a variety, or from the studios themselves. Charlie Cox, if you've watched Charlie Cox's Daredevil on Netflix, I think it's the best interpretation of Daredevil that we've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
I don't see how Matt Murdock plays a pivotal role in Spider-Man 3. Like why my thing is why is he there? For what reason? And I'm sure that they could come up with a creative reason why, but the whole point of Daredevil is to take care of Hell's Kitchen, his little corner. He's never really been involved in the multiverse magical existence that Spider-Man 3 looks like it's setting up. Like it's I mean, it hasn't been confirmed, but I know Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in this movie. We got their villains in this movie, so it makes sense that they would be in this movie. So I don't understand why Daredevil, Charlie Cox, who's never been mentioned in the MCU, would be in this movie. And like I said, from a legal standpoint, Netflix still owns that version of Daredevil. They own that interpretation. They don't own the Daredevil rights. They own that interpretation because it's still a Netflix original. Last time I checked, all the original Netflix series are still on Netflix. Disney has not bought them out. Bought at least bought that version out. They own the proper rights so they can do whatever they want. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Murdock was in Spider-Man 3, just not Charlie Cox playing Matt Murdock. But again, like I don't see why he would be there. And I had to really think about the past episodes of Ask Alex. Jeremy makes a really good point. I'm starting to not be so excited for Spider-Man 3 because I'm trying to figure out what is the point of this movie. They recently just put out stills that it might be taking place in Christmas, and they have snow and some Christmas things up, but I'm excited to see the three Spider-Mans collide, but at this point it's kind of like, all right, why you mean to tell me you're colliding for what? To fight the Sinister Six? We don't need three Spider-Men for that. I mean, it would still be cool to see, but I don't know why we would need that. So I don't know what to make of this, Jeremy. What do you think about Charlie Cox potentially finishing all his scenes and potentially maybe being in the movie? And what are your overall thoughts about Screen Rant reporting on this type of stuff?
So you probably have been seeing this stuff a lot longer than I have, but have you ever seen Screen Rant's pitch meetings on YouTube?
Yes,
That guy is
absolutely.
so funny, man. He's really
Yes,
good. If
yes.
you folks that are watching this haven't seen it, check out just on YouTube, search pitch meetings for all your favorite movies. There's already one. There's hundreds of those. So that was kind of my first like entry point into Screen Rant, other than knowing that they were kind of, I would consider on par with like comic book
.com.
resources or
Yeah.
comic book movie news, like they're not trash. Like, we got this covered. They're
Right.
also like exactly what you said, Alex. They're somewhere on the spectrum between Variety and we got this covered. They're like somewhere in the middle there,
Exactly.
Uh, and yeah, there are some reports that said they wrapped filming a couple of days ago. And bro, we have talked about Spider-Man 3 several times in the past, and I keep coming down on the side of like, yeah, they could throw Charlie Cox in this movie if they wanted to.
Mhm.
They could throw the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters into this movie if they wanted to, because multiverse. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly, yeah.
there's nothing they can't do, and
Right.
maybe that's freeing as a writer. But to me, I feel like having constrictions, restrictions, having to keep it in some sort of like tangible established rules that have been set earlier, or early in the movie or whatever, keeps it feeling like there are stakes. When there is a multiverse, as in, millions of different realities going on, we saw it in Into the Spider-Verse.
Right.
Peter Parker can die, but don't worry, because there's still
Another one.
yes, there's still countless more of the same thing.
Mhm.
You and I and Ian were talking last Ask Alex about Deadpool getting fit into the MCU.
Yeah.
It's a similar but different kind of situation, because what we've got with Deadpool is this very cartoonish character trying to fit into it's a very fantastical world at the MCU, but slightly more grounded, slightly less meta. There's no fourth wall breaking in particular. So how do you take this cartoonish character and put him into a world that's similar to our own? This is the opposite of that. This is how do you take a really, really grounded character who we've seen get his ass beat by men, thugs in the street. How do you
Yeah.
put that guy into a movie where he's fighting against cosmic aliens or whatever? And to me, those two things don't gel, because the reason why I like Daredevil so much is a lot of the reason why I like Spider-Man so much, and that's because they are different kinds of vigilantes that are protecting their own neighborhoods.
Right.
Spider-Man never had a chance to do that in the MCU. He never had a chance to be that character in the MCU, and that sucks to me a little bit, but it's all right because I like what they're doing with Marvel's Spider-Man. There's that one thing that I'm not gonna get, and the tonal difference between the Sony Marvel Spider-Man movies, which are very cartoony, colorful, bright, buoyant. There's a little bit of innuendo, maybe some language or whatever, but for the most part, this is squarely aimed at an even younger audience than I would say what Captain America is aimed towards.
Yeah.
And then you look at Daredevil, and that's as explicitly adult as it could possibly be,
Yes.
So I don't see how, and I don't see why, but at the same time, like, why not? So I don't know. I'm not excited about it. I just feel like at this point it's almost all publicity moves, and that doesn't compel me or excite me as much as just really strong storytelling. And I mean, we're in the midst of watching WandaVision right now, and we know that some multiverse stuff is about to come to fruition, and then I'll have a better take on it, and I'll be able to let you know how I'm feeling about the future of the MCU and all of that. But for right now, it's just like, is that what Spider-Man 3 is lacking? Is a cameo from Charlie Cox as Daredevil? Get paid, man. You know what I mean? If he's going to get $1 million for it, get paid, man. I like him, so good for him.
Yeah, I agree with Jeremy. Hey, if he's just making a cameo, hey man, get paid, get your money when you can. But yeah, I have to agree though. I love the point that he made. Like Daredevil is Daredevil and Spider-Man are two different vigilantes, but they protect their neighborhoods. But Daredevil is a darker character that's a little bit more violent, and in the Netflix series, it's not rated R by any means, but heavy sexual, heavy violence, heavy blood. When you watch Spider-Man Homecoming, it's for everybody. It's more towards gets to, I would say, the young adult and even kids that love Spider-Man. But Spider-Man is not sleeping with Mary Jane. Hell,
Right.
Spider-Man didn't even sleep with Mary Jane when Toby Maguire was Spider-Man. Like, so like it's one of them things where it's just like, how do you take these two different worlds and make them a reality? And I think Jeremy is absolutely right. Like, until we get, I think, episode 3 of WandaVision, we're going to get a better look of the multiverse. Because if you've seen WandaVision, the first two kind of hint on it, but they don't necessarily explain the multiverse just yet. But I do believe we'll have a better perspective once that show wraps. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think about Charlie Cox potentially wrapping up shooting on Spider-Man 3? Just jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And let's go ahead.